Alright, hello. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Vaxee NP-01S. I believe that this is currently the best set of Vaxee's lineup for the most people. This has also been a part of my main rotation for several months, so I'm very excited to get into this review for you guys today. So, firstly, Vaxee's build quality is absolutely perfect. The company itself is made up of former Zowie employees, and you could really tell that in their designs. They have the same philosophy of giving an extremely high-quality, esports grade product with no faults or issues. However, they've actually improved from the days of Zowie to deliver an even more premium-feeling product. You can see here that they created a seamless shell design that doesn't have any indent you can feel with your hand. And they have also separated the buttons to create a more premium click feel. Vaxee has truly perfected the art of making a premium-feeling mouse that is low in features, but is high in quality. It also weighs in at the low 70-gram mark, so they're able to achieve this premium feel without it being bulky in hand. The clicks are also very notable in Vaxee mice. They are my personal favorite out of any mice, and I don't even think it's close. The split shell design that I was talking about gives them a very consistent feel no matter where you click it on the mouse. Whether up here at the very top or down at the back, it creates a very high quality premium feel. The switches themselves are Juana 10Ms, and I feel that they strike a great balance between tactility and smoothness. There's enough feedback to make each click feel responsive, but they are still very light and crisp. There is also a very notable amount of post travel on both M1 and M2. However, this post travel is very tightly tensioned, so instead of giving the clicks a very loose and unsatisfying feeling, they instead make the clicks feel very soft and bouncy. I feel that this proper implementation of post travel is key to creating such a premium click feeling experience. The main clicks feel so good, in fact, that I actually notice them improving my play. Crisp, satisfying clicks combined with the low 2 millisecond debounce setting that you can change at the bottom of the mouse makes click timing feel genuinely very easy. I can hit shots with this mouse that I should miss because of gnarly overflicks, but due to my click timing being so precise with this, it just works. It's really an incredible feeling with the 2 millisecond debounce, and I highly recommend you get used to it. Even if you're used to slower debounces found on old Zowie mice, like 2 millisecond plus these clicks will change your world. It feels incredible. Now, the side clicks are one part that feels pretty meh. I will say that these do have the least amount of pre and post travel that I've ever experienced on a side click, but they're overall very unsatisfying and hollow feeling. I feel that on paper these should be great because they do feel so crisp, but overall they just end up feeling very unsatisfying during normal use. I still feel that no one has truly mastered side button feel, and I'm really looking forward to the first company that does it correctly. So Vaxee does have room for improvement in this regard. Now, onto the scroll wheel. Personally, this is my absolute favorite scroll out of any mouse, but this is highly preferential, and I think a lot of people will actually hate this. It is an extremely tactile scroll that is very tightly tensioned. This makes each step feel extremely defined, and overall the scroll is also very loud. You can hear this through headphones, there's no actually blocking it out. I have been able to get used to the sound, and I no longer notice it in-game, but still takes an adjustment period. If you're someone that likes the old Zowie scroll wheels, I think that this will just be a better option for you, because it does much of what the old Zowie scroll wheels does, but just better. But if you know that you're already someone that hates those types of wheels, then this is just going to be more of what you don't like. However, one thing that I do think is just objectively bad about the scroll wheel is the middle click. It is obscenely stiff and extremely hard to press. When I was first getting used to this mouse, I felt like I was middle clicking on 300 ping, because it took so long for me to actually generate the force with my finger enough to click it through. In fact, you can see this tendon right in my finger actuating as I try to just press the middle click. This is how much force I have to use just for normal use. I was able to get used to this, and this now doesn't have any problems for me, much like the noise of the scroll wheel, but it is still very annoying to have to get used to something. In fact, I think someone that has particularly weak fingers, like maybe from a tendon injury in your forearm, this could actually just be unusable for you, because it does take that much force to actuate. But overall, I still love the scroll because of how tight and responsive it feels, despite some of these minor flaws. So now onto the coating. Much like the rest of the mouse, it feels extremely premium in hand. It is slightly rubberized and feels very grippy for both dry and semi-wet hands. However, because it is still a rubberized surface, you will notice fingerprints and oils sticking to the mouse and being visible to your eye. Unlike some rubberized coatings, though, I don't notice these oils actually affecting my grip and play, and when I do see these fingerprints building up, I don't feel my fingers sliding across them. Like, say, the old Zowie coatings, for example, where you would really notice the oils kind of creating a gummy finish and really causing your fingers to slide up and down the mouse. Where I do start to notice sliding, though, is with the buildup of sweat. The actual coating on this mouse feels quite hydrophobic, so I do notice that sweat ends up sticking to the top of the surface and beading up across it. During longer sessions, I notice these sweat beads build up in between my fingers on the surface of the mouse, which causes my fingers to slide up and down. Because it is hydrophobic, it is very easy to wipe off, and even air dry if you just take your hands off the mouse for, say, 30 seconds. But until I do clean it, I notice a lot of slipping and sliding when sweat starts to build up. If you have very sweaty hands like I do, I anticipate you will have some of these same issues, but it is not a deal breaker because it is so easy to clean off. Some coatings tend to be sweat magnets and stay moist even after wiping them down, so it is really hard to remedy it. So while it is still an issue on this mouse, it is not as bad as some. You will also notice that the main clicks use a different coating than the rest of the body. Instead of being rubberized, they have a distinctively textured PBT plastic feel to them. It is not nearly as grippy as the rest of the rubberized body, and you will notice your fingers sliding up and down during use. I personally don't have an issue with this because most of my mouse control derives from my other fingers besides my two main ones. However, if you are someone that uses these two first fingers to aim a lot, then you will notice the sliding around affecting your mouse control. I do believe that you will be able to adjust to this though, because it is not that bad. You do slide around, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not like they're coated with oil or anything. It is still doable. Their argument for using a different coating is that applying this rubberized feel to the main clicks ends up changing how they feel. I will take their word for this and overall feel that slippery main clicks are worth it for how good their click feel is. Seriously, it's that premium. This little bit of sliding you get is absolutely worth it for how good they feel. Now the stock feet are another thing that feels good about this mouse. The NP-01S uses the same thick, white-dyed PTFE feet that you find on other Vaxee mice. They create a very smooth and overall premium feeling glide on a very wide variety of mouse pads. I feel that most stock feet end up being highly pad dependent, and I find that most either work on smooth cloth pads or rough hybrid pads, but never really both. But Zowie feet feel good on both main types. I feel that they tend to smooth out some of the texture on hybrid pads, and give a very slow feeling on cloth pads. But the overall feeling of the glide to me is genuinely comparable to aftermarket skates. The only reason I replace mine with core pads is because I tend to enjoy the speed that they offer. If you're someone that likes a more controlled glide, then Zowie stock feet are genuinely one of your best options out there. They feel that good. Alright, now onto the biggest fault of this mouse, which is the cable. It is very stiff and generally inflexible. When you move the mouse to very wide angles, you can feel the cable start to tug on the mouse and really manipulate it. Like so. However, because it does hold its shape, you are able to completely eliminate cable drag with good management. You also notice it flopping around less during rapid movements because of how well it holds its shape. Because of this, some people may end up preferring this cable over more floppy paracords. I am not one of those people, however, because I do find this to be too annoying to really manage for me personally. I will be replacing this cable with a paracord once lethal stocks are mass-produced options. But I have not hated my experience with the stock cable overall. I do still think it's usable, but it could be much better. If Vaxee is able to release a paracord option similar to what Zowie has on their new C series, then I really think that this mouse will just be brought to a new level, because this is really the only fault that I can find on it. So overall, I think this mouse offers one of the best dock experiences out there. It has good feet, a usable cable, and is completely driverless with all your controls right at the bottom of the mouse. So straight out of the box, right once you plug it into your computer, you have a near perfect experience. When it comes to a mouse, if you're someone that just wants to get it and forget it, this is going to be an excellent option for you. There are no absolutely mandatory upgrades you need to make with this, and you will get a great experience straight out of the package. Now, onto the fun part, the shape. This is a highly unique mouse. It has a low profile design where the buttons sit very low to the pad, and even at the highest point is much shorter than most mice out there. It is also abnormally thin and long. Most mice follow a general 2-to-1 ratio, but this is much longer than you would expect for its width. This is especially apparent when looking at the underside, when you could really see how far the sensor is away from the top and bottom as opposed to how thin the grip width is. However, despite its small stature, it still retains a pretty decent hump. As you can see, it flares out towards the back to really support your hand here and here when you're gripping it normally in a claw grip. You can also see in profile that the hump reaches its highest point towards the back of the mouse, so when you grip it in the same claw grip, it limits contact there at the middle area here. These things alone already make the mouse feel very unique, but it isn't even the most special thing about it. The most important part is that this mouse is not asymmetrical. As you can see here, the left and right side curves are distinctly different. This is even more noticeable when you turn the mouse over. Here you can see a flare going to a deep thumb groove on the left side, and then a very subtle curve out towards a flat spot on the right side. These allow you to get a very good grip in my opinion. I feel that they create a very natural finger position that allows you to get a very easily replicatable grip across multiple sessions. It's almost as if the curves act for a guide on where you want to place your fingers on the side, and they really carry you along and help you to find a good grip on this mouse. I think that the most natural grip most people will fall into will be this type of relaxed claw I have here. You can see here in this grip that I very naturally follow the curves to place my fingers in their most comfortable position possible. I fully extend my third and fourth fingers to the very end of this curve right towards the flat spot, and then I mount my pinky right where the curve starts to give it some good stability. Then I allow my thumb to follow this flare out and find a space deep in this groove. During this grip, only the very sides of my palm right here and right here make contact with the mouse, right in these areas. I feel this gives a large degree of freedom because it doesn't make any contact towards this middle area of your palm. Despite this low palm contact though, I still gives a great feeling of stability in this grip. This is because the side curves follow your fingers here and out through your thumb to really add more contact in these areas instead of your palm to get your stability. So overall, I feel this grip is both very comfortable and high performing because it allows you a lot of freedom through your palm, but stability in your fingers. I feel that this is the grip the mouse was designed for, and it works flawlessly. This is one of the few mouse I genuinely enjoy a more relaxed grip with. However, the grip that I most commonly use with this mouse is a much more aggressive, tilted claw grip. Like so. In this grip, I really utilize the hump to gain a lot more support throughout my palm. Because the hump is asymmetrical, it slants off in this direction, so I find that I could really get up high on the low-profile hump and then tilt my wrist down to follow the curvature of the hump as it goes through. Then I place my fingers on the side and pull the hump back into the middle of my palm. In this grip, instead of making contact on the very edges, it makes full contact throughout the middle portion of my palm. I feel this gives me a large degree of stability due to creating two distinct contact points deep in my palm, here and here, like right along these lines I have in my hand right here. Because I sit higher on the hump, I also get to curl my fingers much more aggressively. As you can see here, my thumb is almost parallel to the sides, as well as my third finger. I feel I'm able to put a lot of force between my thumb and my third and fourth finger that goes straight across the sensor. I feel that finding these aggressive angles between your fingers really gives a great feeling of control, and I would recommend that you try it. When I get a grip this aggressive, I feel I activate a lot more muscles, and I overall feel more precise because of that. I'm under constant tension, and I feel I can be more reactive and adjust quicker with my aim. Also, because the mouse has a very narrow grip and low button heights, I feel it gives a very pencil-esque feeling to all your movements. You're able to feel very precise when you're able to curl these fingers like this and get really low to the surface, and I really like it a lot. With this grip, I feel my pure mouse control and click timing feels genuinely incredible. I'm able to get a lot of good scores and perform really well with it in game. The only real issue I have is that this grip is genuinely uncomfortable for longer use. I really find myself start to fidget with this mouse as my grip starts to fatigue. This feels distracting and kind of takes me out of it when I'm playing. I generally value a mouse that just blends into my hand and that I can use without really thinking about it. So this sometimes falls short of that goal. I still perform well with it though, because really my control is so fine with it that it overcomes these hurdles I have. I've always performed very well with this mouse, and if it was just slightly more comfortable, it can easily be an endgame mouse for me personally. Alright, so now onto some quick comparisons. The most obvious shape comparison you can make is to, of course, the regular NP-01. These mice, of course, use the same general side curvature and are meant to be part of the same overall family in the Vaxee lineup. Overall, the NP-01S is just simply an NP-01 that has been squished in the width, made shorter, and has a less aggressive flare right on the thumb here. These all may seem like minor adjustments, but when you compound them together, it makes the NP-01S feel completely different than the NP-01 in hand to me. If I blind tested both of these mice without knowing what they were, I doubt I would be able to tell that they are from the same mouse family. They feel that different in hand. The NP-01 is just so much more bulky and overall full in your hand compared to the overall, frankly, tiny feeling NP-01S. Therefore, I think a better comparison to make would be between the NP-01S and the FK2 and the S2 shapes. To me, the NP-01S feels most like the Zowie FK shape in hand. They have the same low-profile design that makes very minimal contact with your hands and overall feels long to still support the back of your hand here during normal use. If you have used an FK, a Razor Viper, a Glorious Model O, a Ducky Feather, or any other of the numerous FK clones, then the NP-01S will feel very similar in that regard to you. Where these two mice differ, though, is in the hump. This is where the S2 shape comes in. The S2 hump feels very similar to the NP-01S in both size and general shape. On both of these mice, the hump is very pronounced and gives your hand a lot of support, but it isn't as big as something like a Sensei type shape, like an XM1 or a Burst Pro, where it really fills out your hand. Instead, it's just there to give extra support, and they feel very similar in this regard. Of course, the NP-01S has a much shorter hump comparatively to like an S2, a Ponage, a GameSense Meta, or any of the other S2 clones out available on the market, so it will feel more low profile than these, but the hump in hand feels similar. Therefore, if you tried an S2 style shape, but you want something that's a little bit lower to the pad and a little bit thinner, the NP-01S will be a great option for you. Likewise, if you tried an FK shape, and you really like how low profile it feels, but you want a little bit more hand support, then the NP-01S will be a great option. Also, vice versa, if you like the NP-01S, the hump is too big, go for an FK. Or if you try the NP-01S and it's a little bit too thin and narrow in the front, then try an S2 shape. The NP-01S really strikes a great balance between these two legendary shapes, and I really feel that it has cemented itself as one of the greatest shapes ever made. It is truly genius how they're able to combine so many options of other popular shapes into one perfect package, in my opinion. Seriously, Vaxee has nearly perfected shapes, and I think the NP-01S is an insane option that everyone should try. Alright, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.